All right, Lights, Camera, Barstool movie review time. We're talking, that's a mouthful. The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a prequel to the Hunger Games franchise, set 64 years before Katniss was in the Hunger Games. 64 years for the Hunger Games. I'll read you the synopsis in a second, but obviously no one back from the original movies. It was set so long before that. Tom Blythe, one of the two real main characters, plays Snow, future President Snow, as we know from the movies. Rachel Zegler plays Lucy Greybeard, who has some connections to we'll talk about the Easter eggs and all the connections. Peter Dinklage in it. Jason Schwartzman plays a relative of Stanley Tucci's Flickerman character, a different Flickerman. Viola Davis also in the movie. All in pretty solid roles, I'll say. I'm very curious where we all land on this one, because I kind of feel like we may like it more than critics didn't pan it, but they didn't love it. Audiences seem to like it quite a bit. It's got a 62% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes from audiences and 91% from audiences, 91% from audiences, 62% from critics.
That's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I'm surprised like half the people didn't like it. Like gave it like below a passing grade. That's like kind of surprising to me. Years before he becomes the tyrannical president of Pan Am, 18-year-old Snow remains the last hope for his fading lineage. With the 10th annual Hunger Games fast approaching, he was in the Hunger Games. Fast approaching, the young Snow becomes alarmed when he's assigned to mentor Lucy from District 12, uniting their instincts.
No. Back that up.
Lucy Gray.
Lucy Gray. You do not say her
not.
name without saying her full name.
True.
Her name is Lucy Gray.
And they make sure you know it by making sure anytime she is mentioned, it is Lucy Gray, not Lucy.
Uniting their instincts for showmanship and political savvy, they race against time to ultimately reveal who's a songbird and who's a snake. A lot of, not fully mentioned in there, but Viola Davis' character, Peter Dinklage's character, very much a part of the power struggle, or rather the political struggle for the games, what they mean, should they do them, how long will they do them, and who will be in control. Spoiler alert, it's Snow. It's part of the problem with prequels. There's not much of a real concern there as to what happens to this dude. It's like, well, becomes the antagonist in 4 movies. I did enjoy this movie. It has faults. Like, it has some fucking problems. Specifically with the end of the movie. It's like, wow, it's a lot of stuff to take in. But I think the drama and what they set up here is pretty great. And I think everyone in it, see, we've talked recently about some like certain trailers and big budget stuff. And we talked about like the Madam Web trailer, for example, different universe. But a universe nonetheless, shared universe. And the Madam Web trailer, we talked about people in that movie look like they didn't want to be there. Everyone in this movie is pretty committed and like really lives within their roles. And these are, remember, like if you went into it forgetting what the Hunger Games was, there's some wacky fucking roles in the Hunger Games. There's some weird shit in here. And they're all committed and they're all very enjoyable. It's a really awesome, fun movie. And then the third act, it just kind of falls apart. Like, it just becomes too much like weight on top of the story. Like, it's just too much going on for me. Even though I do think it, like, the idea kind of lands. Like, I get how they wrap it, but it's just too much at the end. I liked it more than I liked both Mockingjays. So I gave it a 73 out of 100. I think Catching Fire is like great. It's like really, really good. I think Hunger Games, the first one was like, I think if they would have reshot the Hunger Games to not be like Jason Bourne times 10 shaky cam, it would have been better. But I think it's better than the Mockingjays. I think this was close to being like I think this was close to being the second best behind Catching Fire. So I did enjoy it though. Kenja, you saw it first. You said, you're like, guys, it's not that bad.
Yeah, we were all pretty excited because we were like, oh, it'll be a fun movie to dump on. It's probably going to be shitty. It's this late stage Hunger Games sequel, prequel, whatever. But yeah, no, I was pretty shocked. I think this movie through the
same
first
director, by the way, as Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1 and Mockingjay Part 2.
So through the first 2/3 of the movie, the first 2 acts of this movie, it's like a mid-80s probably movie for me. Like, I really was enjoying everything that was going on. Again, mega pleasantly surprised by everything. And just after that third act, it definitely goes off the rails and it probably lands at around like a 75 for me. I think there's so much about this movie that was really entertaining because, like, number one, Hunger Games world is sort of intrinsically, it's like a YA property where like we feel like we've kind of maybe grown past it. I think they did a good job of like kind of hitting the reset button on a lot of stuff. They give you a whole new kind of like world building experience from that era, I guess, of their version of like the world and like the collapse of society and all that shit, and then like the resetting of all that. And I think all the actors in this were pretty great for the most part. Like, that's a great role for Peter Dinklage, basically just playing like Tyrion, more or less, like in a kind of twisted sense, like that political savvy kind of guy that has regrets about having to do the things that he has to do and all that shit. I think what's her name, Viola Davis. That's the kind of role where I don't think she had to try a crazy hard amount and was still able to leave like a very big imprint. And everyone else, like the guy, what was his name, Austin Blythe?
Tom Blythe?
Tom Blythe. British ass motherfucker. I've been $1 trillion. I don't know.
No relation to
Donald
Blythe from House of Cards.
But yeah, I think he was solid. What's her name? Rachel Zegler, really solid. Everyone else, like, just on the different elements of the movie, really solid. They do a lot of stuff in this movie that's surprising. I think the action's cool. CGI is never distracting really at any point, which is surprising as well. But I liked almost everything about it until you hit that third act, and it almost felt like they needed like 1/4 more of a movie and then to just split it in two, if that makes sense. Because there is a changeover that happens in that third act that felt like it was more of the start of a third movie or a second movie, and they didn't have a chance to flesh it out. And they have almost this it's stuff I have to talk about in sports. So let's see what this sports. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I think they just kind of rushed through in that last act. And then they also have, and this is the first thing I think I texted you guys, is like probably the singular worst fan service moment I've ever seen in my entire life in a movie. Brutal, like, stops the entire movie level bad moment in that third act. If we were just talking about like an itemized breakdown of my score, like negative actual 5 points for that, just for that line, for sure.
I'm giving it +5. My theater loved it. They laughed at it.
Yeah, but they're laughing at it in a bad way. But yeah, so pleasantly surprised in every way. I'd feel like there's a much better movie if they just fuck around with that third act a little bit, or realistically not fuck around with the third act. Chop off that third act and expand the first two acts, and then cut that in thirds. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, no, I think it has like the opposite problem of the Hobbit movies, where that's like splitting one book into three. Feels like two completely different stories.
Which is crazy. That's crazy, by the way, because that's the problem. What's the problem? Mockingjay.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think even Francis Lawrence, the director, I may be wrong. I think recently talked about on our old friends, The Weekly Planet. They did their Caravan of Garbage series about it. I think they mentioned. I think they said like the director's even like footing the two was tough. Like it stretched it, but it's crazy that this one it's like, wow, this might be too much.
Yeah.
This might be too much for one movie.
But I also don't think that third act, even if you like add time, I don't know if that really works as like a standalone movie.
Yeah,
so
that's totally fine.
I do get the decision to fold it in, just like not very seamless in how they did it. 3 weeks ago, I got yelled at by fans online because I said Five Nights at Freddy's was a dog shit movie, and people yelled at me and they said, well, it's for the fans. This movie proves that you can make something for the fans that they will love and that can be good on its own as well. Because I honestly can't remember shit from the Hunger Games movies outside the first one. This was fine. This was good to great, honestly. Great through the first 2/3.
Yep.
I think they kind of undersold how much the Tom Blythe show this is. He was phenomenal, I thought.
Yeah, he was very good. He embraced that snow. I don't think you need to remember much from the first two to remember like how good that snow character is and like what he's kind of built on, and like he's very strict about his ways, and and I think it played perfectly into that character. Like I very much believed he was the younger version of that character.
And he also had to fight through some bad screenwriting in the Lucy Gray shit. That's in the same way that
was about to be my next point. Was like he didn't have the most. He's working with a YA dystopian script, and you can tell it sometimes.
He's fighting through that, and Rachel Zegler had to fight through an accent that was. They should have done.
Yeah, we'll get to that there in cons, the Zegler performance, which you guys might disagree, but overall, I am. We'll get into scores here in a second, but I was very pleasantly surprised. I'd heard for a while this wasn't testing well and people weren't loving it, and I think the fans will love it. Every fan I know I've talked to has loved it so far if they've seen it. This is how you do it. Like you can make a good movie and make a good movie for the fans at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me, you have to find the balance of, we've said about everything, about keeping in the stuff that references the past, but not doing it in a intrusive way. Now, there is the one thing that we talked about. It's like the one line about the name is obviously like crazy.
Outrageous.
Whatever.
Outrageous that makes
her sister or something, I think, is probably Katniss's grandmother's. That's what I think the theory is, something like that.
Fucking cares, dude. That's outrageous.
But everything else is like pretty, like you have the white rose, you have
exactly, subtle.
The song, even like the bow, I was like kind of okay with. Like she does the bow. Like there's plenty of stuff that references it. It's baked very, very heavily into the lore of the Hunger Games and into the universe, but never really in a way that's like, that doesn't work. That's pretty stupid. So yeah, I apparently it was not in the script for her to bow like that. She apparently just did that on set, which I think is like kind of a ballsy move to do that and be like, oh, I hope this plays.
Yeah.
But like it worked well. I think that's the thing. It's like they did for the most part, a pretty nice, like I'm not going to rake him over the coals too much for the Katniss line. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's dude. Yeah, that can't make it through. You know
ridiculous.
What I mean?
But everything else is pretty good, and I think that's why I understand Rachel Zegler being a huge part of it as well, but I almost feel like they didn't market and talk enough about how much like the snow angle was intriguing with this as well, because it really is. I think it's great. It's a really good part of this movie. It's very interesting, and that's the point of Viola Davis. Great. Jason Schwartzman, great.
Schwartzman cutting the rug.
Schwartzman was like he had a night. He was 8 for 10 shooting, 7 for 7 from the line, 10 assists, 8 rebounds.
I love the flick. That's great.
You have to have characters who enjoy doing this, and I don't think they found a great balance in the last 2 Mockingjays. And again, same director for this as Catching Fire. Catching Fire, they had a fucking blast in that. Every character, Sam Claflin, who plays Joanna Mason, what's her name?
You remember the names better than we do.
Yeah.
Fuck, what's her name?
They all like goofy ass names in Hunger Games.
Even Josh Hutcherson, like Woody Harrelson, they all, like, if you watch the difference between the Hunger Games and Catching Fire, and they're both pretty bleak movies in terms of like what's going on. They have so much more fun in catching, like they're enjoying their roles. And this one, you just felt it. I think that's probably why this was so enjoyable, that you just felt them loving that role. Again, especially Schwartzman. Schwartzman was just fucking.
He was cutting it up, dude.
He was like, there wasn't a line he read that didn't get like at least a little pop from my theater.
Yeah. He was crushing it.
He was so funny.
Who might you be? I love this guy.
Jenna Malone, that's right. She played Joanna Mason. That's right.
It was pretty inconsistent in terms of how it looked, but like when it looked good, it looked really good. Yeah. I'm just
those movies have always had that issue though, right? Because they've always had like the weird like mutts and like there's always been like some weird things in the movie. You're like, oh, that doesn't look that great.
Yeah, but like the costumes and stuff, of course, I think that's always been a strength of the franchise. Look really good.
Snakes were okay. I thought the snakes would look worse, but they looked okay.
Yeah, the high tech, low tech like look. Yeah. That's always just works.
That always plays. It's like the Fallout or whatever things. People love that shit.
Looks so cool. Ken Jack did bring up a good point. He said, "Who was Tom Blythe's character, more or less?"
He's Anakin Skywalker. He has. So his whole end of the movie, and this is where I guess we can mark spoilers for here. So his whole third act, where he kind of does his heel flip, right? It's very, very Anakin Skywalker-ish to me, where he's like, good guy, good guy, good guy, good guy. One slight hiccup happens. I am now 100% evil. And like, no questions asked. I am now an evil man. And like, that to me is always very, like, I don't know what, I can't in the top of my head think of movies that have done that very successfully. But like, to me, there's gotta be more of a transition to like, wow, I couldn't find Lucy Gray for 5 minutes and now I'm an evil man. I'm going to murder everybody. Everyone, I'm going to have children sent off to their death because I couldn't find my girlfriend for 5 minutes. Fucking, it's just stupid to me, and that's part of what made the third act kind of dumb. But it's just there's something that more that needs to happen there, and I'm sick to my stomach that they shaved his head.
Oh,
sickening!
The girls in my theater let out a gasp
when his hairline gets exposed.
They weren't ready for that. Right after Harry Styles did it a week before, they weren't ready to have that relive that trauma
of the British man hairline.
Yeah, and they also did not color his hair all the way through.
Yeah.
You could tell he had the brown roots at the very end. I was like,
Yeah.
I think he could have gone through one more time with the bleach.
Yeah.
They're also running through the woods. I'm almost positive it's the woods from Logan.
That's
Like at the very end, like those woods.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive those are the same woods.
Just picturing Logan doing that scream. What a great scene that is, by the way.
Oh, awesome
scene.
And the Lucy Gray.
Lucy Gray
Baird.
Lucy Gray.
Just Lucy
Where
Gray.
are you, Lucy Gray? Lucy Gray. It's like, just,
pretty open-ended ending, too, in terms of where she is. So you'd have to think they're going to want to see how this performs and if they do it again. And
See, I don't want more of her.
No, I think
one issue. You guys liked her performance, right?
Yeah, she was fine.
I thought it was just so stagey, and the accent was. Oh.
No, it was very theater kiddish. I agree, but that's almost played into the character, which made it work. You know what I mean? She's a performer in that sense, and like that's me.
In the private moments, I felt it was like
that's fair. Yeah.
Yes, like the accent she put on was.
Woo. Yeah, that was very like stagey
voice.
Southern voice.
Beautiful singing voice. Good Lord, that woman can sing.
My name's Lucy Gray, and I sure like California peaches.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. It's very Southern Lucy Gray. Like, I don't know what you do, because like they're essentially supposed to be like, I guess, like gypsies or something, but like I don't know what accent you give them, but not that one.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an accent reserved for people not from there. I don't know.
I don't know what accent she needed for that, but something would have worked better. Or just no accent at all, like everyone else in the entirety of the series.
Yeah.
Is there anybody with an accent in all of Hunger Games other than her?
I think they kind of do in the first one.
Like,
right?
does Woody Harrelson doesn't have an accent? Really?
No.
Like, he kind of has a little bit of a drawl, but not really. Like,
have we ever talked about the Pan Am map?
It's just the U.S., no?
Yeah, but where everything is.
Oh, like split into districts. I know that like the northeast is 12, right?
No, 12 is like Appalachia, West Virginia, Kentucky.
No, is it?
Yeah. So let's see. It's
because they showed the map a little in the movie.
That's why it was awesome when J Law and Hutcherson got cast. Kentucky kids.
Kentucky kids. I didn't know Jay Hutch was.
Yep.
Yeah, District 2 is like the West Coast, like though it's all like broken up, like there is no Florida, like Florida's underwater, a bunch of LA is underwater, like the coast. Same with New York.
Oh, thank God.
District 12. So District 6 is like Ohio,
District
Michigan.
1 is like Colorado. What the fuck?
Yeah, the capital city is like Denver. District 12 is, you're right, like Appalachia, close to like New York. New England's District 13, which is obviously, it's quote unquote, District 13, not exactly leveled. It's really just like they're just building nukes.
Damn.
We're dead as hell in District 13. Shit.
This is my America.
Well, you're not dead. Remember, you're not dead.
Well, yeah, not technically, not actually dead, fake dead.
You're just underground building nukes.
Exactly.
What the fuck is Mexico doing?
What happened to Mexico?
Like they got
it's all underwater. Yeah, Texas is like gone.
And Cuba's just called Snow Island? Wait, hold on. They changed the names of the oceans and everything, too. The Atlantica Ocean and the Grand Pacific Ocean. You're right, yeah, great fucking...
Suzanne Collins, I might have to come back through and reread your books.
Gulf of District 11.
See what's going on here.
District 11, that's Mincy's district right there. This whole fucking like little panhandle thing, yeah.
I like that District 6 and District 11 cut off. It's just in the border of Kentucky and Ohio, just Cincinnati.
Yeah. It's an existing border, basically, yeah.
It's still like Cincinnati still can't just live, like it's got to be right on the border or something.
District 4, these are crazy. District 1, but why are District 1 and where's 2? Oh, 2 is what a weird, they gerrymandered the shit out of this.
And this is not a knock on Denver. I like Denver, but it's like our capital city is going to be in Denver. It's like Denver.
Utopia is going to be in the dead center of the country, mega high elevation.
Yeah, that's probably why. Fallout, they're getting away.
Great city. Don't get me wrong, but it's like Denver.
Just Deion Sanders is
very enjoyable. Very enjoyable movie, though, despite some faults.
Yeah, I'm shocked by the 62%. Like that's what Marvel's pretty much pulled, right? Yeah. I think that's like dead on.
It's a pleasantly surprising movie, and I think that's something like I love that type of movie where, especially like in the bigger-ish budget movies, like I feel like usually you can make a good assessment of it, whether it's going to be good or bad based on trailers, people involved, early reviews, stuff like that. Like I feel like the critics are pretty dead wrong for the most part on this.
Yeah.
Very pleasantly surprising and enjoyable as someone who's not the biggest Hunger Games fan by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and it's raking too at the box office. There literally wasn't an open seat in my theater.
worldwide too, doing really well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We also the more and more we're blessed with more of like the games themselves, the better these always are.
Yeah,
Like that is the problem with with Mockingjay, and I think that's why I like the second one more than the first, because they are basically in the Hunger Games in the second Mockingjay. They're just like they're trying to be killed. I do enjoy the like the game element stuff, like that stuff. I think always works the best. That's why I think the second one is great, and I do wish they would have redone the first one. Yeah. Like at least it had the same director. I think the first one would have been better if it was directed by someone different.
Some good deaths in this. When they introduced the child with Down syndrome, I was like, there's no way this person's going to die. Her dying in like the most
fucked up way,
insane way. That's one of those things where I'm like, you see that child show up and you're like, yeah, just like naturally they're not going to have her die. Like, she's going to escape somehow. And then she dies like brutally. I was like, that was like a surprise where it threw me off as an audience member in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, I would never have expected that. Dude, but still, I was like, what the fuck?
They had someone die from fucking rabies in this.
Yeah,
kind of. You went rabid, and then he had to die.
Like, 2 people just shatter all of their bones.
One person had, like, tuberculosis.
One guy had one arm.
Just wouldn't stop coughing.
Dude, when she went down, I was laughing. Sucking down rat poison. That shit was funny.
Oh,
I did like the little posses that they came in. The one guy, was his name Reaper? Oh, that guy rocks.
Oh, yeah.
Reaper. He had a cool death, too. Where he just kind of sits there and, like, lets himself get, like, enveloped in the snakes.
That guy was cool as hell. We need way more of him.
Way more Reapers.
Way more of him. When he pulled that flag down.
Woo. Yeah, that was a sick move.
Viola Davis's character was really cool, too. Creepy. I like that.
Creepy as hell.
I don't really understand how she had come into power or, like, what her role was in the government. Like, she wasn't the president. Was she?
She's just the head of the games, right?
Yeah, like what is that?
Or like the game master?
Is that Speaker of the House level? What is that?
But it only happens once a year. You know what I mean? Like,
who's a designated survivor during the games? Like when the games are happening, who stays there?
You're confusing with Donald Sutherland, who's President Snow.
How many deaths away is she from like ruling?
I would say that is this series is very unapologetic about deaths. Other series could learn from it.
Yes,
they killed so many people in those first few movies.
Yep, and they did not give a rat's ass, which is a good thing. Good thing.
Yeah,
I gotta rewatch the old Hunger Games movies.
They're enjoyable. The first Mockingjay is, I think, the Mockingjay being one movie, it would have been good. It just drags. It just drags a lot.
Peter.
I love Catching Fire. I think
My
Catching Fire is great.
skill is that because I'm a baker, I can perfectly camouflage myself.
He paints himself into the ground. What a fucking loser!
One
of the best changes in the history of cinema is them changing Peeta's hair from the first movie to the second movie, though. It made that character. It was like it was a different character, different world. Yeah. Same actor, just different character.
Yep. Very different. And then Tucci Man and Schwartzman should be in a movie together. I don't know if they have been when that could head. But those two, that's a great like father son. Like they could be related easily.
It's just a great character. The Flickerman character is awesome. Like that just worked perfectly in that world.
I need to see because there's a couple names when I was watching this movie where I'm like, oh, fucking.
Hunter Schafer also pretty good.
Yeah,
limited, but she was good.
Great final line.
Yes,
where like you look just like your father or whatever. You remind me just of your father. Like that was a really good line.
Yeah, someone who hasn't really watched a lot of Euphoria, I was like, oh, I get the hype.
You ever watched Euphoria?
I've watched like a few episodes and it's just like, yeah, not for me.
Let's see, Volumenia Gall. I knew her name was Dr. Ball. Oh. Casca Highbottom. Some of these just get rough.
Just the YA. Those are YA names.
Exact. Clemencia Dovecote. Festus Creed. Lysistrata Vickers. Felix Ravenstill. I couldn't figure out what his name was forever.
Next time we make like a fake post with fake journalist names, this is what we're going to start pulling from is YA.
Arachne Crane. Jessup Jones. There's a lot of these names. It's great. But Flickerman I like. I'm a big Flickerman guy. What was his actual full name? Lucretius Flickerman. And they would do the
close-up magician,
an amateur magician. Like that's just funny. I did like when the one girl when they were like showing off like the zoo, the one tribute just stabs the fuck out of that one girl.
Oh, right in the neck.
That was good shit. See, that's what I mean. There's a lot of good little surprising moments in that, which I really liked. Good ass, solid movie that just needed a different third act.
Yeah.
That's it for Hunger Games. Definitely worth a watch. Go see Saltburn as well. We'll eventually talk about Saltburn. Crazy movie.
Fucking insane, Jeff. It's fucking insane.
If you don't like it, I won't argue with you. But I do like it. It's a lot.
It took me a good 10 minutes leaving the theater to decide if I was like, did I love that or did I hate that?
Just like the reaction is just like, holy shit.
We also got to do holdovers, man.
We'll do holdovers. It's as more people see it, we will do those as we always do.
If you're listening and you're looking for a movie to watch over break, that's the one you take your family to go see.
Yeah. That's it. That's it for a review of the latest Hunger Games, a ballad of snakes and shit. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Make sure if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video if you can. Helps us out big time. That's it for our review. For Ken, Jack, and Gooch, I'm Jeff C. Lowe. We'll talk to you next time.